Hi guys, it's Faye the Bookworm. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about a book I recently read, Mexican Gothic. It is a fiction horror book, and I'm going to read you a little bit off the back. From the author of Gods of Jade and Shadow comes a reimagining of the classic Gothic horror novel, a story about an isolated mansion in 1950s Mexico and the brave socialite drawn to its treacherous secrets. This book came out in 2021 and it is 301 pages long. This was a very interesting read, but before we talk about the book, contents, let's talk about the book itself. I love the cover. It definitely gives off Mexican Gothic. The inside is like a movie poster. So cool. And then the title page is just this beautiful, elaborate pattern. All the chapters have a very beautiful big bold letter with some like vines and accents around them. I really enjoy it. I think it's like really pretty. It's very prettily written, even though it's like a Gothic. So now let's talk about the book. Noemi on the cover here, she is a socialite living in the big city. Fancy dresses, going to parties, switching out boyfriends a lot. And she gets a letter from her cousin who just got newly married. And her cousin were very close before she moved away with her new husband. And the letter from her cousin is just a mess. I mean, it is making no sense. And it really freaks her out. And it freaks out her father as well. So her father and herself decide that she needs to go check on her cousin because something is wrong with her, whether she's sick or losing her mind. Noemi gets there and the cousin is talking about hearing voices and the walls move, and she is very unwell. I mean, coughing a lot and laying in bed all day, and the inhabitants of the house are very, very strange. Now, the inhabitants of the house are an old man named Virgil. He's in very bad health. An old woman named Florence, who is very rude and unkind, and Howard. Howard is the husband of her cousin. There is another man named Francis, who is Florence's son and the cousin of Howard, and he is like the most normal one. And they have a couple servants, but these servants kind of act like zombies. Like they are just a blank slate, just doing their chores, and that's it. Noemi, when she sees her cousin, decides that she has to get her cousin better. And if she doesn't get her better, she's somehow going to have to take her home to see a real doctor. Because out here in the country, there's only 2 doctors, and the family will only let one of the doctors see her. Now, Noemi befriends Francis because he's the most normal and the most kind one, and he takes her to town. And the people in the town think that this family is very strange, and somebody actually tells her like she needs to leave. Some stuff happens. I'm not going to get all into it, but Noemi decides that she's had enough and she's going to try to leave now. Strange things have been happening. She's been hallucinating. The walls have been moving. There's mold everywhere. She's hearing Virgil, the old man, like coughing all night. So she tries to tell them like, hey, I'm gonna leave. And they have one last dinner and they drug her. She wakes up and Francis decides to tell her it all, that they are all trapped in this house now. Virgil is some kind of god, and he's trapped everybody in this house. He wants the boys to go out and marry women or marry their sisters, that's disgusting, and have babies, and then he eats the babies to have everlasting life. They say that the house is like a big mushroom spore, and that's why there's mold everywhere and why it smells funny, and that they are breathing it and ingesting it, and it's like taking over their body. Think of like a parasite, but like way grosser. Somehow mold is just like so icky. And they say that Catalina is trapped and now she's trapped. And they want her to marry Francis and have a baby so that a way the line will go on. And Virgil is in very, very bad health. So he is wanting to take over the body of Howard. This is very much like a cult. Like, this family is the cult. And the Virgil is like the fake god, even though he's like actually kind of like a real god. And the culprit is mushrooms. It's really weird. I mean, it totally gets explained in the book, but it's still a very out there concept. I kept thinking that this was going to end badly. I was like, you know what? Everybody's just going to die or something. But it actually had a very good ending. Noemi and Catalina get away and they figure out how to free the house and like kill the god, and they get Francis to leave with them, and then they recover in a hospital. But before they go, they set the house on fire, so this can't happen to anybody else. This book was very slimy and creepy, and the way they describe Virgil was pretty nasty. Like, that part kind of got to me. All the rest was fine, but like just the way that they explain like his sickness and the mold, and it is pretty violent and gory and bloody in the end, but it's honestly like not as bad as some other books I have read. I really enjoyed reading this. A couple of spots, I mean, kind of get you, but it is a great read. If you like horror and gothic and this sounds like something you'd be interested in, I would give it a shot. I didn't think I'd like it because one of my friends was trying to explain it to me, how it's like about mushrooms and they're all hallucinating and that the walls move and all this stuff, and they hadn't finished it and they just like weren't explaining it very well now that I've read it. Sorry to say that, but yeah, it's hard to explain. You have to read it to understand it, and it is for sure worth the read. So I really don't know how I'm gonna rate this book either. I've just never read anything like it. I almost want to say it's a 5-star, but there's something holding me back, and I think it's just because it was icky. I don't know if I did a good job explaining it, but I do think it is worth your time. Bye.